Hello and welcome back to Will It Work. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know when it comes to desktop computers and mobile devices, I'm an Apple guy. When it comes to game consoles, I'm a Nintendo guy. And a couple years ago, Nintendo started making some games for mobile devices, which is really cool. So it got me thinking, is there a way to use an actual authentic Nintendo peripheral with one of these Nintendo games on the iPhone? And that's a little more difficult than it seems. First of all, while there are a lot of USB converters for gaming controllers, the iPhone doesn't work that way. You have to use a MiFi certified Bluetooth controller to work with games on the iPhone. Now, last year, Apple added the ability to pair a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One controller to the iPhone, but not the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which is really weird. I kind of understand maybe why they wouldn't do the Joy-Cons because they're odd devices. They work independently and together. But the Switch Pro controller is just like any other controller, so that's odd. I can't explain why they haven't added that. But you know what? It doesn't matter because even if Apple had done that, the Nintendo games on the iPhone don't support controllers. They're strictly touch. So how do we get around this problem? Well, I think maybe I figured out a way to do it. What I've got here is the Super Nintendo Mouse. This came out in 1992 and was bundled with a cartridge called Mario Paint, which was a painting program and you could do some basic music on it, some basic animation. It was kind of like an educational type cartridge. It was quite successful, and I would guess that for many kids on the tail end of Generation X, this was, if not the first mouse they used, certainly the first one they ever owned. And I was lucky, I found a really good, most of these are really nasty on eBay and they come with the Mario Paint cartridge, which I didn't need in this case. But on Mercari, I found this really nice one and it came with the actual authentic Nintendo mouse pad, which you don't have to use with this mouse, but it did come with it and it just needed a light cleaning on the outside and a little bit of cleaning on the rollers. So I really lucked out in getting this. So how do we get this connected to the iPhone? Well, like I said, there are a lot of USB adapters out there for old controllers. And I came across a guy who runs a little company called RAFnet out of Canada. And I came across this controller he makes for the Super Nintendo controllers. And it's very, very nice. It has its own serial number and everything. This guy does a great job. He has adapters for everything. Anything you can think of, Vectrex controllers, Atari 2600 controllers, all of these to USB. And not only does he have USB adapters, he has inner console adapters. So if you want to use an Atari joystick on a Nintendo or you want to use a GameCube controller on the Nintendo 64, I mean, he's got all kinds of adapters. I'm going to put a link to his website in the description below. If you have any interest in this kind of stuff at all, I highly suggest you check out his webpage. He's got tons of these adapters. They're not all listed on the first page, so you have to go to the bottom and keep scrolling to the next page, next page, next page, but he's got a bunch of them. So like I said, this is just a standard USB adapter for a Super Nintendo controller, but he's gone the extra mile with this one. He has a mouse mode that you can enable with some desktop software for this adapter so that you can use the Super Nintendo mouse as a regular USB mouse. You can switch it from the controller over to mouse mode. So in theory, this should work fine because the iPhone does accept USB mice. In fact, last year I did a video, one that was very popular, on the original Macintosh mouse from 1984 with a USB adapter and using it on the iPhone. So in theory, this should work and we should be able to control the iPhone with the mouse. So I'm going to plug all of this in. I'm going to use the Lightning to USB adapter. I'm going to plug it in the back of the Lightning dock here, and I'll get this all put together so it looks really nice, and we'll be right back. Okay, so this is interesting. I was going to show how you have to go in on the iPhone and turn on Assistive Touch to get the mouse to work, unlike the iPad, which you can now just plug a mouse into and automatically start working. Well, I found out that it's just working now. I updated to the latest version of the beta for iOS 14, I believe it's 5, and here, lo and behold, I have Assistive Touch turned off and the mouse is working, so they must have added that feature, so you don't have to turn it on anymore, you can just plug the mouse in, which is cool. Real quick, I'm just going to show you under Devices here that it sees the SNES Mouse to USB which is really neat. The video I did last year with the original Macintosh mouse, that adapter had a generic name because it could do Lisa mice and the original Macintosh mice and the Apple II mice. This one's nice and clean, just as a Super Nintendo mouse. So everything is ready to go. And let's go down to games and let's fire up Mario Run. And this game's great because all you do is tap it. So it's the equivalent of a mouse click. Now, I'm no expert at this game. It is fun to play, but I'm no expert, so if you're expecting any kind of perfect speed run, you're going to be very disappointed. So let's just go and see how this works. And hey, it works really great, and it feels very natural. Let's do one more level real quick. It really does feel great, and it feels completely natural. Very easy to play this with authentic Nintendo hardware. You can play with any mouse. It's just icing on the cake that this is a Nintendo mouse, and it just works great. So I really hope you're enjoying my videos. If you are, please like and subscribe. I will be back in the future with more, but for now, take care.